Okay guys, here's my Murry Explorer. I've done some work to it lately. We had our family reunion and stuff, and the kids drove it all day long. The Predator motor used about a little less than 2 tanks of fuel, and this thing was running from, I'd say 11 o'clock all the way up to about 5 or 6 o'clock, and to use a little bit less than 2 tanks of fuel, that's great. Now, the paint job I did, you can see that I've repainted the seat. The paint kind of rubbed off on the seat, and it also rubbed off there. I only had 1/4 of this green color, and that's as far as it went. Now, a couple things I needed to do since I've worked on it. The kids were complaining that the yard was kind of muddy, so it didn't have fenders on it, and it slung a lot of mud and stuff up. Now on the back, I added an extension. You can see right here, it's a tread pattern. And what this is a step that you could buy at the hardware store. It's real flexible. On the back side, it's got an adhesive on it. And all I did was just use screws and drill it and bolt it in. So that way it can take an abuse, but it adds all this extra area right here to keep mud off the driver. Now on the front, this is some fenders I took off I believe it's a TX 300. It's a Honda. I went over to the over in town. It's Booth Cycle. They have a small salvage yard there, and I found these fenders. They normally come in a gray color. And on the other side, let me show you how I attached them. On that front ATV bumper, I drilled and put a bolt coming through right here and attached it right there, and I locked it down. Let me get that back up there. And I locked it down with a nut right there. That way I have that stud sticking out, and I can attach a lock nut on top. I put this on bottom, and I put a lock nut and a big, what they call a fender washer. They're big, and they take a lot of, the bigger the fender, the more surface area it has, so the less chance of breaking. And then I took some, this old strapping that I have. I like this stuff because it's got all the holes in it, and I did the same thing right here. You can see the nut and bolt where it's locked down, and I attach on the front there and on the side right there. Now you can kind of get an idea on this side over here how it uses that front piece. It's quite a bit of coverage, and I took them inside last night and inside the shop, and I painted them a satin. It's a plastic paint. So you could see how beat up and scratched up they are. I mean, that's okay. That's what they're going to be used for. But otherwise, all the stuff that I've done to this really worked out well. Now that I got fenders, this is going to work out even better to keep all the gunk and stuff off the kiddies and all. One thing I do have to do, I've adjusted the brakes out as much as possible, but I'm going to get a racing go-kart master cylinder. I'm going to mount it right down there on that flat piece. Use that bar to activate it. And I have the disc brake already. All I got to do is mount up. You can see the disc brake right there. Use that piece of metal right there and mount up my caliper. And I'm going to go to a racing go-kart caliper system, and that'll work out better. These manual brakes are just marginal at best. I'm also looking online. The Honda has a smaller motor. That's a copy of this one, or actually this is a copy of the Honda motor. These Predator motors are called clone motors. They're still quite durable. I'm very well pleased with them. My best advice, and what I did, you can see on that on the pull start, is I clocked it, which I moved it. You can see how the 212cc is turned. Well, it's because the puller would be at the front, and I don't want to hit my hand up there, so I clocked it, which was turned it. When I get through with these, I broke it in with standard oil. Now I switched over to synthetic oil. And there is a nut right here. You see this, which is on your fuel bowl. I took this out and I drained every bit of fuel out of it. So now this thing's going to sit, and I got every bit of fuel out of it. That is the best way to keep these alive, is get that fuel out of it. And other than that, the motor pool's good. It does good for this thing. This is a heavy go-kart, so you got to be okay with that. The 6 inches of foam worked out real well. Nobody complained on their backs. This headrest was thick enough to support their heads. Bracing and welding up the frame kept it from making a lot of noise, so it worked out real well. Like I said, other than the brake, I'm going to get that brake system on there, and that'll be a hydraulic brake system and work out good. You can see my little bracket right there is going to work out real well. And so now I got that. I'm looking at it. I'd like to get a couple more go-karts like this one. There's one that's got a rear suspension that hinges. The motor and back axle are all together. And I've seen one of them. It's a 2-passenger. That would be nice. And stuff like that. But this will help out. This rides real well now. I took it around the yard and it didn't hurt my back or anything. I did put a piece of this is a protectant to keep that hot exhaust from baking it right there. And these have a foam air filter in there. When you clean it with mineral spirits, let it dry, and do not oil it. Just put it back in. And you may want to get you a couple extra. But other than that, they're good little motors. In fact, the Racing League in Fort Smith, they use them clone motors like that. This version and the Life-On. But I'm going to get that other one bolted on today. On this one, I had a piece of metal laying around, and I built a fender out of it. And I bolted it on using 2 U-bolts right here and a U-bolt right there. Very, very sturdy. And that's just a piece of angle iron. I welded it right there. Bolts, painted it. This one used more fuel because single rear wheel did most of the spinning. And you can see how they wore the tire down in 1 day's time to almost nothing. I got a new tire right there. All I'm going to do is switch these two out. But I slimed all the tires up. I put a brace right there. This one does great. It has very good handling techniques. That one couldn't run because carburetor crapped out on it. That's an Intech motor. And you give about 2 years on any of these carburetors and they crap out and you can't do nothing with them. I'm trying different carburetors. I pulled one off a 4-horse lawnmower engine. I'm going to give it a try. I really don't think it's going to work. The only other thing to do is either switch the motors out or go to a animal racing carburetor. Would be about $124. That's without the manifold. Where I could buy one of these style motors for $100. So I'm kind of screwed around any way that I think about it. This is an old dingo style go-kart. Does real good. It's got great power. It's just the carburetor is crap. All these carburetors are crap because they don't have any adjustment systems to them. And that's the bad thing about it. But back to this one. If I can, I found out that the Rust-Oleum has a safety green color, which is similar in color to this. I'll probably order a couple of them. Take this to car wash, clean it up real well, and probably do some repainting. I like the pattern, but it just wore off the seat. I didn't have a good thick coating on it. But you can see Rust-Oleum, this is vinyl. And this was actually rust knot from Ace Hardware. And you see it wore off right there too on that floorboard. but that's okay. But I've almost got this go-kart down perfect now. Now I get these fenders on there, it won't sling all the crap all over everybody. I'll get another big go-kart or two, and it'll look pretty good. But I'm going to put this thing together. I thought I'd give you guys an update, so that way you can see all the good things you could do to these things. And I used an existing bolt which holds this bracket right here that holds the front bumper, and it's got a lock nut on the bottom of it. So we'll use lock nuts on that, and you'll be good to go. So hadn't done a video in a while. Thought I'd let you guys see that, see what I'm doing. I'm kind of a mad scientist, actually. Yeah, actually kind of a mad scientist when you think about it. I'm gonna bolt it together and be done. So you guys be good, and we'll see ya. Bye.